Hi guys, welcome to our RC studio again. We haven't done a video for quite some time. Pretty much because of all the rain, the cold, the mud, all that crap. Well, I had my Slayer out a few times since then, and I bought it at Christmas time, and I put about 40 hours of run time on it, and I managed to blow the engine on it. So I guess we'll talk about that first. First of all, ever since I've owned this car, I think the Easy Starter is pretty much crap. Some of you guys might like it, some of you guys might hate it. I'm not a liker, I'm a hater. So when I blew the engine in it, I ended up blowing up the connecting rod to the piston. I ended up pulling it apart to find out what was wrong. And this is my starter pulled out, which won't be going back in. That starter is junk in my books. What I ended up doing is I'm going to probably end up having to be forced to buy another engine. But if I do, I bought myself a backup pull start. It's less weight, less hassle, less can go wrong, less moving parts. And I bought a spare. The Traxxas, I find a 3.3, the TRX model. You can either buy it with the Easy Start attached, or you can buy it with the pull start. I recommend a pull start. So when I had the motor installed, I was having problems with the one-way clutch bearing in here. This doesn't come stock like this. What I did is a quick fix when I had the Easy Start on it, for you guys that are having problems with it locking up, is I made a cone of cement on it, let it dry, then I drilled it through with the 3/8 drill bit, and if you can look right in there, you can see the bearing itself in there. What I used to do every time when I went to start it is it likes to, kind of like it locks up. So what I did is, if you spray some WD-40 with the adapter tip on it, and you give it a shot in there, usually it would fire up right away, at least crank. And sometimes if it doesn't fire up right away, another idea you can do is you take off the air cleaner and you just put a couple drops of fuel into the carb, and a lot of times that will prime the engine. Even when you plug the exhaust and you're cranking the engine to get the fuel to go into the carb, sometimes it still won't start. Traxxas, for some reason, has this engine that's a hard start. And I've also had it where you take out the glow plug and you put in a drop of gasoline in there, the nitro, and you put the glow plug back in, it fires up right away. So there's a few ways around everything on this. When the piston exploded, I didn't know it exploded at the time, and I thought it was a starter problem. Found out it wasn't. When I tore it apart, I came up with this. This is the piston. This is the connecting rod. You can see that connecting rod, it looks like a cotter pin now. It should have a bearing like this on the top, and it's not there. And the skirt of this piston broke right off. The skirt's the bottom of the piston. You can see it's been sheared right off. But remarkably, it did not damage the sleeve, the brass sleeve inside of the cylinder, so it's actually rebuildable. But unfortunately, it's out of commission now, and I'm going to be shelving it probably for half the summer, because we'll be pulling in a new RC next week, boys. And it's going to be a big badass. That'll be a surprise. I've done a few mods since I've owned the car. Well, yeah, a few I would say. And I would say the number one first thing you should do as a modification on this car would be to put in a sway bar kit. Put one in the front and the back. A sway bar kit looks like this. This is it right here. That's for the front. And if you noticed, I left about 1/2 inch down from the rod because I have it set up for dirt application. If you have it up for asphalt, where you want it to just run it on hard pavement and not have it cartwheel and flip on you and stuff like that, take the sway bar and put it to the top. I'm going to flip it around here. And if you look at the back of the sway bar kit, which is here, and they attach to the rockers of the shocks, you'll notice here that it mounts in from the bottom, and if you notice, it's flush on the top here, again for the dirt. And in the front, it was 1/2 inch down. If you want it for asphalt, you just reverse the process of that, and it will prevent it from doing cartwheels, whether on dirt or asphalt. Okay, and now we'll be talking about mod number 2. It's quite simple to do. All you have to do is change the fluids in your shocks here. I put 35 weight in the front and I put 50 weight in the back. I have the preload on the back set to about 1/3 and the preload in the front is set to about 1/4, and I find it handles jumps quite well. Other mods I have tried is I took this thing out and I put some trenchers on this car, and I had some stock tires on the car, and I had trenchers all the way around, and I took it out for a 1 good boot for about an hour and ended up blowing the back tires right off the rim on my trenchers. Now I don't know if that was bad glue or the trenchers were just extreme grippiness or what have you, but I just found a walkaround for it because I had to buy new rims, foams, all that crap. And if you look here, you can see this one is a trencher and this one is stock. What I do is I run the trenchers in the front because they're so damn grippy, and I leave the stock ones in the back, and it gives you a pretty good kick around because this thing's 4-wheel drive all the time, and it works pretty good. The other mod that I had that didn't work out too well for me is I went out and I bought the temperature gauge from Traxxas for about 25 bucks. And if you can see it, there's no wires attached to it. And I had it strapped right to here. And I had it strapped there, and then I put a tie wrap on it to hold it on there. And I don't know, I guess when it was doing its jumps and flips, it ripped the wires out. The first hour it was on, so if you can find a better place to put that and make it work, fine and dandy, but I just left it off because after a while I just knew what the nitro was running, and it worked out pretty good. And if you notice the car, it's nice and shiny, and I got it, this thing's been covered head to toe in mud. The way I got it nice and shiny is what I do if the air cleaner's still on is I put a little plastic bag over it, and then I spray it all down with spray nine, let it set for 10 minutes, rinse it off with a garden hose, let it dry. Afterwards, if you want to have it looking the way you see it right now, is you put I put a rag over the brakes, and you also put a rag over the back of this transmission here on the flywheel. And what you do is you just spray it all down with WD-40. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, wipe it down with the rag, because you'll find that this plastic will go to a gray color and really dull looking, and it brings back all the luster, and it gives it a little bit of a coating on it to resist water, and it lubricates at the same time. And now it's good for the shelf, and time I hook it back up, we'll be ready to roll. Lastly, we're going to touch upon is the body, and just to show off that I bought a new set of tires on rims. These are just stock, and it always has pay to have extra. And for my body here, this body is only 4 months old with about 40 hours of, well, I'm a bit of a extremist, so I put some pretty good bashing on it. And as you can see, it's pretty pranged up. I got some duct tape on it, trying to hold it where it's splitting apart together. And then on the underneath here, I tried everything to keep it from splitting. I put packing tape on it, and that doesn't seem to work. I tried duct tape on it all around. That doesn't seem to be working too much. I've tried stapling it. I don't know. That doesn't seem to be working too well. So if anybody has any ideas on how I can keep this body together instead of buying another one, feel free to comment. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for coming.